How are you all? The parents, the students, the teachers, and even the other guests that I can see around. My name is Kameri. I work with Career Track Africa as a consultant. And I know you have seen me in so many areas talking about careers because that's my passion. And today I want to go direct to the point. And I want us today to look at, as I've been invited here today, we look at the careers and how our learners are supposed to benefit from this talk, how the parents are supposed to benefit from this talk about career pathways. I already know that all over, even across the country, that there are so many people who already know about the career pathways. They can tell us there is STEM, they know there is what I call HSS, or Humanities and Social Science. They know there are CPAS, that is Creative, Performing Arts and Sports. And therefore, for now, I don't need to really elaborate much about that. But allow me to take just a few minutes to touch about that. So, what we need to know is that as our grade 9 are transitioning to grade 10, they are supposed to have known which career path am I going to take. And it must be with clarity, because I'm going to explain to you why clarity is important. So we have STEM, we have Humanities and Social Science, and we have Creative Arts, Performing Arts, and Sports. As they go to grade 11, these learners are going again to split again. STEM will go to, they choose again at grade 11. If they're in STEM, they have to choose, do I take pure sciences? Do I take applied sciences? Do I take engineering and technology? Or do I take careers in technical studies? For those that are in HSS, they also have to choose, do I go to languages? Do I go to humanities? Or do I go to business? And those, again, who will go to arts, they also have to decide, do I go to visual arts? Do I take performing arts? Or do I take sports? Now, why is this important? Suppose your child goes from grade 10, takes STEM. Goes to grade 11, takes applied sciences. But after a day or two, or a term or two, he comes back home and tell you, Mom, Dad, this is not my thing. This is not my thing. What do? Two options. The first option is you parent, you tell the learner that, you know what, I've spent resources, we have spent time, you must move on with it. You must bite the bullet. And that one will be a very astonishing for a child. Now, that child has only two options. I've already given you one. Option number 2 is you tell the child, now, you don't want to continue anymore with STEM, you want to go to humanities. Now, remember, when he was doing STEM, the subject he was doing, there was no humanity. There was no probably a language that you want to move on. There was no business subject that you want to move on with. What will happen? He must go back to grade 10 and start afresh. Are we ready for such type of mistakes? Okay. If you are not, then listen and listen carefully. Then we must therefore be able to guide our learners well, so that when they are deciding which career path they want to take, they have a clarity of, this is the best career path I want to move on with, without errors, without mistakes, because if we make any mistake, there is a cost to pay. Now, listen very carefully. There are 3 methods. How many? There are 3 methods that we use to determine with clarity which pathway should my child take. The first one is what we call self-discovery. I will explain the 3, but in a very short because of the time that I've been given. So the first one is self-discovery. Now, what is self-discovery? For a child to know the career he is going to take, we look at the interests that that child has. We look at the skills that that child has. We look at the abilities that that child has, the talents, all that. But when we look at all this, but mostly the three, they are the best that we look at. Number one, we look at the skills. We look at the values. We look at the skills. We look at the values. And we look at the strengths of that child. So that once we look at the three, we can combine them and come up with a competency. Now, this competency, it is the one we attach a career pathway to that. And when a child is young, you're able to determine that the interest of this child is this. The values of this child are this. The strengths of this child are this. And therefore, we are able to attach, out of the three, we come up with a competence. And that competence, we can attach that to a career. So this should be developed by a parent from day one. The school can still do this. I don't want to talk more because I have a book that I have done about the career compass, and you can get all the other details from the book. Number two is what we call formative and summative assessments. Now, what are these? When the learner comes to school, there are these, let me call them small assessment they are doing. Now, these days, parents, for you to understand, they are not called exams. But maybe I can use the word exam for you to understand. So they are small exams that they do from grade 1, 2, 3. And then while they're in grade 3, they do one summary exam assessment now that summarizes the grade 1, 2, 3. That is what we call a summative assessment. They do the same. They are doing termly in grade 4, 5, 6. But while they're in grade 6, they do another one, which we call KIPSEA. And I know you know that. Then it is a summative assessment that summarizes grade 4, 5, 6. The same case, it happens in grade 7, 8, 9. And then they are going to do KIPSEA in grade 9, which will set a pace for them as they are going to grade 10. Now, schools. This is because this is for the school. Listen here and listen carefully. Teachers must be able to interpret rubrics and they measure them to a competency. Teacher, how do you prepare your schemes of work? Do your schemes of work, do your lesson plans, do your notes, the way you prepare your lessons, do they capture a measurement that can be used to gauge or to measure a competency for the learners? So that by the end of the day, when you're done with your class, you can be able to tell which competency each child is good at. And therefore, with those competencies, you can now be able to take them out and attach them to a career for each of the learners. So schools then, I know this has been a dilemma in so many schools. If this is not working with the schools, just call me and I'll come, I'll teach your teachers, I'll train your teachers on how do they interpret these rubrics. How do they come up with templates that can be used to bring out a metric. How can they develop a metric that is going to be used to measure the competencies for a learner and then attach them to a career for a learner? So it becomes easy. And what I know is this. When Kenya National Examination Council or when the government is placing our learners, they will also require some information from you teachers. How will you recommend what your learner will take? How will you recommend what those pathways that these kids should take if you're not aware of the metrics that you can use? So this is another line that we can use. And if I know I've been training so many schools, so many teachers, this is a place again we can look up to. And I'll be ready to train your teachers on that. Number 3, it is what we call psychometric assessment. Now, psychometric assessment, it simply looks at how we are wired. How am I wired? Because we are all wired differently. There are some of us, we are wired artistically. There are some of us, we are wired scientifically. So, and we can only be able to establish that through psychometry. What is psychometry? It just looks at how people think. And it uses the 4 intelligences: the intellectual, the social, the spiritual, and the emotional, the 4 of them. Now, once they are joined, psychometry, it is able to bring out 12 skills. Now, these 12 skills are merged into 3. The first one is what we call cognitive skills. Cognitive skills are like problem-solving skills, logical skills, numerical skills, like that. So they are the ones that brings together a skill to solve problems. So when we establish a learner is good in cognitive skills, that learner should go to careers that requires problems to be solved. The medicine, the engineering, among other careers that require problems to be solved. The skill number 2 is what we call people skill. There are those people here, they are very good. Our learners here, they are very good in people skills. The interpersonal skills, administrative, and sales skills, things like that. So they will go to people's skill or careers that require you deal with people. And then lastly, we have what do you call it? It's the technological skills. Sorry for that. Technological skill. So technological skill, we look at the computer literacy, we look at the technological familiarity. So these are the people, again, who are good in technology and they end up in technological, developing softwares, things like that. So we match them and we're able to tell you how your kid is wired. So with the 3 methods, we're able to, with clarity, determine what a child should do. And therefore, let me stop there. If you need more, we can have my number. You can interact more and you can talk about this more for us to establish what these learners will be. Thank you so much and God bless you.